ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मायं ददाति स्वपदान्तकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरू श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगुणरघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगुणललिता श्रीविशाखावितंश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धुजगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तते तप्तकाञ्चन गौरङ्गे राधे वृन्दवनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारणं परमानन्दं माधवम् नमः ॐ शिवदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाभूतले श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नामिने। Hare Krishna. So today we will be concluding the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and so we'll open up for for any Q&A, and then after that we will go continue with the group presentations. Okay, Shri Padma Mataji, please continue, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. My question is, one of I can't remember, I was walking and I was listening. You were saying that Brahman also, can refer to the soul, and it can refer to, is it Krishna you said? The feature of Krishna. Sometimes it refer to soul. And my second question is, like verse chapter 2.12, when we learned about the Mayavadis and about the individuality of the soul, I understood that, but then in 4.28 it talks about the Patanjali system and merging into the existence of the absolute. Is that the same? Because sometimes I hear in this chapter about absolute Brahman and impersonal Brahman. Is it the same? That's all. Prabhu,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I think both your questions are related to Brahman. And the first question, you're right. The word Brahman, its meaning is contextual. So there are actually several meanings that are attributed to Brahman based on where it is used. One meaning is that anything that is not material, that is spiritual in nature, that is called Brahman. The second is the effulgence of Krishna, the impersonal aspect of Krishna is called Brahman. From the perspective of it being spirit, the individual spirit soul is also called Brahman because it is non-material in nature. And then later on, we'll read in the 17th chapter where there's an explanation of the phrase Om Tat Sat, and each of them are individually described as Brahman, and collectively they are considered to be pointing to the personality of Godhead. So in that context, Brahman is also Krishna as in the personal form. So in the scriptures, we'll see that many times the same words will have different meanings depending on the context. Another word that has several meanings is Atma. Sometimes Atma refers to the gross body, sometimes it refers to the subtle body, sometimes it refers to the spirit soul, sometimes it refers to Paramatma. So we kind of derive, or the acharyas rather derive the specific meaning based on the context in which it is used. And in the context of 4.25, 4.28, your question was that the Patanjali system. So the Patanjali system will essentially take us to this will be explained more in the sixth chapter, where the focus is on Paramatma. So another point of reference to the Brahman is Paramatma. Okay, thank you. Sadhana Mataji.
Hare Krishna, please accept my most humble obeisances. Prabhuji, my question is that Krishna has described a variety of sacrifices because the ultimate goal of these sacrifices, he says, is transcendental knowledge. Now, my question to you is that how, as a grihastha, can we practice these when Krishna says that without the elevation of knowledge, these sacrifices are simply material activities? Now, how do we differentiate and practice these sacrifices? Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you. It's a very practical question. So a couple of points to note is that so the inventory of sacrifices that Krishna gives is even though he gives it as a list, but not everything is meant for everyone. Right. So when he talks about the brahmacharis, he said that they sacrifice the process of hearing. Essentially, that is the sacrifice recommended for the brahmacharis, which is learning, hearing the Vedas from the spiritual master, learning, understanding what it means. The sacrifice that is recommended for the grahasthas is the control of the senses. So for the grahastha, it is mentioned that how they offer the senses in the fire of the control of the senses. So it's important for the grahasthas because the ashram is one that allows for a lot of sense, or the potential of a lot of sense gratification, because they can earn wealth, they can marry, have children, have status and fame. So they have a lot of opportunities for sense gratification. But what the Vedas recommend is that everything is basically done according to the injunctions of the scriptures. So, for instance, the grahastha is allowed to earn wealth, but the corresponding injunction is two injunctions go. One is that they don't excessively invest in earning wealth, and the second is that whatever they earn, they apportion a part of it for charity. So that's the control that they have. That they don't excessively engage, they don't become completely absorbed in earning wealth. And whatever they earn, because the grahasthas are the only ashram that are supporting the other three ashrams. The other three ashrams, they don't work. The brahmacharis, vanaprastha, and sannyas, they depend on the grahasthas. So the injunction is that whatever you earn, a portion of it is used to support the other ashrams. So if we have to determine what is the sacrifice that is meant for us, we basically determine our varna and ashram, and according to that, follow the injunctions of Krishna. For most of us in the current day and age, the sacrifice that we do is automatically obtained through following the four regulative principles. So when we follow the four regulative principles, which are meant for all, but especially for grahasthas, that is automatically giving us access to the sacrifices recommended for our ashram. And then ultimately, of course, the highest yajna that we perform is Sankirtan yajna. So that comes in the category of bhakti. Thank you. Divya Mataji?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
you.
So I had two questions. One was the same like Sadhana Mataji, like does working for what we are doing is considered as a personal sense gratification, which you just clarified. The other quick clarification, I'm little confused between Nishkam Karma, Buddhi Yoga, and Atma Gyan. So Nishkam is we are still attached, like we are still associating as a body, but we are doing our work, like we are detaching from the results. And Buddhi Yoga and Atma Yoga is like knowledge of the soul. Is that how I should understand? Or they are all three different? Because I interchangeably saw Buddhi Yoga as well as Atma Gyan. Sorry, not Atma Yoga, Atma Gyan.
Yes, there are similarities and differences. So Buddhi Yoga is a template. So you won't find any Buddhi yogis, right? There's nobody. So somebody might say I'm a Karma Yoga yogi or Gyan yogi, but you won't find any Buddhi yogi. So Buddhi yogi essentially is a template which kind of indicates the general category of one who is performing yoga through the intelligently. And depending on the context, it can point to one or two of things. So Buddhi Yoga can be Jnana Ashrit, or it could be Bhakti Ashrit. So when Buddhi Yoga is Jnana Ashrit, then essentially it is pointing to Nishkam Karma. And so when we see the verses in the second chapter, where Krishna is glorifying Buddhi Yoga, at that time he's using Buddhi Yoga as a placeholder for Nishkam Karma. Later on, when in the 10th chapter, in the Chaturshloki, Krishna again speaks about Buddhi Yoga. That time Buddhi Yoga is a placeholder for Bhakti Yoga. Right? So essentially they are both being performed. And the understanding is they'll be performed intelligently, but what it's pointing to is contextual. Right? The second part of your question in terms of Atma Gyan. So Atma Gyan is it's the result of Nishkam Karma. Right? So what happens when one performs Nishkam Karma? So the initial symptom is that one develops detachment from one's activities, fruits of activities, but it's just a means to an end. So what happens when you perform it? What it results in is Atmagyan. So Atmagyan means that you get an understanding that you are not the body, but you are the spirit. From a practical perspective, you will see that if you perform Nishkam Karma consistently, so then you will be able to actually develop this understanding of the difference between the body and the soul, that you're performing activities as a matter of duty, undisturbed by the positive and negatives that come out of it. So all these dualities, these are the characteristics of the gross and subtle body. So when you transcend them, then what remains is your spiritual self, right? So Atmagyan in its maturity, Nishkam Karma in its maturity, it gives Atmagyan. Atmagyan in its maturity will then, so Atmagyan is what will take the person from Karma Yoga to Gyan Yoga, right? So this is the point of transition there, right? So Atmagyan you can understand as the result of performing Nishkam Karma in a mature way.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Tina Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, this is my previous chapter's question. So, please correct my understanding if I'm wrong. So, Prabhu, like you mentioned there, Yajna has many side effects, but you told the same after that Krishna himself is the unlimited beneficial all the kinds of Yajna. So these two lines little confusing. So can you please explain again?
So the confusion is that
Like how Yagya had how like Yagya how like has many side effects.
and how Krishna is the ultimate.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Good question. So if we take for example the yajna that's given in the 3rd chapter, where Krishna recommends the performance of prescribed duties, and the devas are pleased, they give rains, and through rains the grains come, and the cycle there. So that's the performance of one kind of yajna. So the immediate benefit is piety. So you're following the yajna means you're following the scriptural injunctions, which is reflected in the fact that the devas are pleased, so they bestow piety on you. So you acquire wealth and you acquire fame. So everything that comes with piety. So that's the immediate benefit. Now the side benefit is that as one performs these prescribed duties, karma, one develops faith in the scriptures. So then one begins to inquire what else is there in the scriptures. And so let's assume you get a book of 100 pages, you follow 50 pages and it works very well. So then you say, okay, let me see what's there in the other 50 pages. So the side benefit is that because the faith in the scriptures strengthen, the person then inquires what more, and the what more takes them to Krishna. So ultimately, that's the reason why all these fruitive activities, kand are given in the Vedas, so that the practitioner develops faith in the scriptures, and then they are also able to have faith in that which is not. So those who follow Krishna, the effects are not very immediate. So when you do karma, the effects are immediate. But because we have already developed faith in the scriptures, you're willing to wait now, that maybe it will come later on. So that's the side effect. And then Krishna talks about other side effects also. It protects you from sinful activities because you're curtailed. You say, I'll only do what the scriptures say, which is pious activities. So it protects you from sinful activities. Krishna says that it purifies even those who are purified. So those who are completely detached, for them he says that you still perform your prescribed duties. And the side effect is that it gives you further purification. And the reason it gives you further purification is because even when you're doing karma, you're following the instructions of Krishna. And that pleases Krishna. So Krishna reciprocates by, of course, you get piety, but then he also reciprocates by creating opportunities for you. He doesn't bestow bhakti directly, but he creates opportunities that one can take to bhakti, or one can go to higher forms of realizations. So in this way, the way the Vedas are constructed are very elegant, that they give you a point of contact, but they not only give you what you want, they also give you what you need, and then you kind of make advancements.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Please go ahead, Mataji.
S. Majmudar Mataji, you want to ask your question, please?
Oh, Haribol Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. I just had a question. How that the Mataji was asking, how can grihastas follow or do yagyas? And you were saying that when we follow the 4 regulative principles, that is our yagya for grihastas. But I also heard that like just following the 4 regulative principles, someone told me that just brings you onto the human platform, that you're not like animal anymore, animal type life anymore. So is the fact that like grihastas when we're following the 4 regulative principles, is it considered yagya because we're doing it what the Vedas are recommending, and that's why we're advancing in our spiritual life? Or is there some other reason that maybe I'm missing?
Thank you. No, I think you covered you covered the reasons perfectly. That yes, the 4 regulative principles, they create a safety net by which we do not perform sinful activities, right? So if you look at the 4 regulative principles, they are all niyamas, they are don'ts, like do not take meat, do not take intoxication, right? So essentially, they're protecting us from performing sinful activities. And the reason they're considered to be yagya is because for grahasthas, sense control is the yagya that is recommended. So it's the yagya. Now, our situation is a little different because we are following Bhakti Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga in itself is independent. So if you look at your own particular practices, then the chanting of the holy name, the worshipping of the deities, the service to the devotees, that in itself is sufficient to take you back to Godhead. But because we are practicing devotees, we still haven't been purified, and we have a tendency to fall back into Maya. Then the acharyas have given us the safety net that by performing these, the egregious sinful activities will be avoided, and on that platform you perform your devotional service. So the real yagya the devotees perform is the chanting of the holy name. That's the real yagya that we perform. These are basically considered to be supporting, and as you were saying, that one who does not follow the regulative principles is not considered to be human-like, primarily because they are disobeying the injunctions for the human form of life. That's why it's considered that they're living an animal-like life.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay, so if there are no more questions, maybe we can proceed.
Yep, I think the next agenda item, Prabhuji, is group presentation. So I would request group 1 to start their presentation, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You can see the screen, Mataji and Prabhuji. You can start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. This is the Group 1's presentation. Today's topic is getting the knowledge, the right source, Krishna, and the right medium, disciplic succession, which covers chapter 4, 1 to 10. And it is presented in the form of debate, emphasizing the need for both the elements. Otherwise, our bhakti path is in danger, versus I already understand it and can speak from my mind and interpretation.
Hare Krishna. Today I emphasize the necessity of the right source, Krishna, and the right medium, disciplic succession, for a safe and effective bhakti path. The Bhagavad Gita clearly illustrates the importance of understanding and following the wisdom passed down through a disciplic succession. Krishna instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god, Vivaswan, and Vivaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. This verse highlights that spiritual knowledge is handed down through an unbroken chain of teachers. Without adhering to this chain, our understanding can become diluted or misinterpreted. Krishna emphasizes the importance of receiving knowledge from a bona fide source, ensuring its purity and accuracy.
Hare Krishna. While I respect the traditional approach, I believe personal realization is equally important. Once we understand the essence of the teachings, we can interrupt and apply them in our lives. Verse 4.7 to 4.8 says, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice or descendant of Bharata and a predominant rise of a religion, at that time I descend myself to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry to interrupt, but on the screen we are still seeing the header slide, the first slide. Are you moving the slides also, Prabhuji, as you're speaking?
Yes, probably. You're not able to see the screens, the following slides?
It's a title slide which says, if getting the knowledge, it's the title only that we are seeing on the screen. Maybe you want to reshare your laptop, your screen again and then start.
We don't. Now you're able to see the first, second slide, Mahaprabhu?
At least I am seeing still the number one, slide number one, Prabhuji.
The first slide only.
I am also Prabhuji.
Is it in presentation mode, Prabhu? If it is
Yes,
in
Prabhu.
presentation
One
mode, it
second,
should be
one
on the other window.
Yes, that's what looks like. It's the other screen where the presentation is.
Now you're able to see it, Prabhu?
It's coming up, Prabhuji.
Yes, coming up.
It's still the first slide, Prabhu.
Yeah, 1 second. Now?
Yeah. The presentation, the presentation view probably is on the other screen. We are seeing just
Yeah, can you swap your screens?
1 second.
Or don't be in the presentation mode. That way, I think it will be, yeah.
Yes, now we can see it.
Now I see it. Okay, so we were here in this class. So,
Perfect. Yeah, please go ahead, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
no problem. Thanks for correcting. So, Krishna's incarnations are meant to re-establish Dharma. By understanding his actions and words, we can draw personal lessons and apply them contextually. Personal interpretation allows us to adapt ancient wisdom to modern scenarios, making it more relevant and practical.
While personal realization is essential, it should be grounded in correct scriptural knowledge. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. This was verse 4.2. The conditioned beings have 4 defects: imperfect senses, illusion, propensity to commit mistakes, and propensity to cheat. This contaminates whatever is produced. This causes the chain to be broken, and the true essence of the teachings can be lost. Without proper guidance, personal interpretations can lead to misunderstandings. The disciplic succession preserves the original intent and purity of the teachings.
I understand your point, but consider verse 4.9, where Krishna speaks about knowing the transcendental nature of his actions. This implies a personal connection and realization. It's about experiencing Krishna in our lives, not just theoretical knowledge. Realization transforms theory into practice, making Bhakti a living experience.
Agreed, realization is crucial, but it must be supported by the wisdom of the scriptures. Verse 4.10 says, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. Krishna says that when one gives up these 3 misconceptions and is freed of attachment, fear, and anger, and executes devotional service in the guidance of a spiritual master, one is purified by the knowledge of Krishna and achieves transcendental love for him.
A balanced approach where we acquire knowledge through bona fide disciplic succession, while also cultivating our personal realizations, is perhaps the most effective path. By doing so, we ensure that our bhakti remains both grounded in tradition and relevant to our individual spiritual journeys.
Thank you both for your insightful arguments. It is clear that the right source, Krishna, and the right medium, disciplic succession, provide a solid foundation. Without this, it is like licking the outer rim of a bottle of honey without tasting the honey inside. Following the path of disciplic succession ensures the purity of teachings. A balanced approach, incorporating both elements, seems to be the most harmonious path in Bhakti Yoga. Let us take this wisdom and apply it in our own spiritual practices. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you. I think very nicely put, and I think I like the balanced approach perspective. That it's there is faith in the word, there is desire to follow, but it also is something that passes our own sensibility test, and only then can real conviction come. Only then we can follow with full conviction. So I think you've understood the essence and presented it. Thank you.
Group 2.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Bhayahari Prabhu, and everyone. So, the following presentation is a conversation between a devotee and a spiritual seeker. Spiritual seeker has recently been to India and visited many holy places. Spiritual seeker developed curiosity about Bhagavad Gita as it is by Srila Prabhupada. So when he returned to US, he visited ISKCON temple and asked questions to the devotee. Thank you for accepting my invitation to provide insight into the knowledge of ancient wisdom Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you for inviting me and providing me the opportunity to serve.
I have recently been to India to travel holy places. I was gifted Bhagavad Gita by one of the saints there and reading it. I just finished reading chapter 4 and I have some questions from it.
I will be glad to answer those questions.
Why does some people worship demigod but Krishna says they are indirectly worshipping me and award them accordingly?
People who worship demigods are called karmis, who seek to enjoy the fruits of their work. They work hard, worship demigods like Brahma, Shiva, and Indra, and aim to gain material benefits based on their desires. For example, they worship Shiva for a good spouse, Ganesh for fortune, and Indra for rainfall. Pleasing these demigods can lead to attaining the respective planets after death. These demigods are empowered by Supreme Lord Krishna to grant material rewards. However, everything in the material world, including the demigods' realm, is temporary. Once their piety ends, karmis are reborn on earthly planets, continuing the karmic cycle. They remain ignorant of Krishna's supremacy and ultimate ownership of everything.
Who is an atheist?
Someone who thinks the demigods and Krishna or Vishnu are the same is an atheist or pasandi. Atheists believe that demigods are different forms of Krishna and assume them as Vishnu tattvas. Even Sripada Sankaracharya, though an impersonalist, spiritual leaders still accepted that Vishnu or Krishna is above material creation. Or in other words, Vishnu is not a demigod, as demigods are part of the material creation.
Oh, I see. Who is a Gyani then?
Gyani is someone who's situated in the transcendental knowledge of Brahma, the impersonal feature of the Lord, or the effulgence coming out of the transcendental body of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Gyani are liberated souls and have no material aspirations.
Who is Krishna Bhakta and what is the difference between Bhakta and Gyani?
A Krishna Bhakta recognizes both the personal and impersonal features of the Lord, but is drawn to his personal aspects, seeking relationship like friendship, servant-master, parental affection, or conjugal love with him. Gyanis, on the other hand, are attracted to the Lord's impersonal aspect and wish to merge into his existence. Bhaktas are granted association with Lord Krishna in his Vaikuntha planet up to the highest realm, Goloka Vrindavana, while Gyanis merge into the Brahman effulgence. Since the soul is inherently part of Krishna, Gyanis eventually fall back into the material world, seeking association until they encounter devotees and are drawn to the Lord's lotus feet. Thus, self-realized souls can be either Gyanis or Bhaktas. Gyanis understand the soul, while Krishna Bhaktas comprehend both the soul and its relationship with the Supreme Soul.
So the devotees or Krishna Bhakta get personal association of Krishna, while the Karmi and Jnani do not. Is he not partial to his devotees?
We cannot say Krishna is partial or biased. Krishna is like a judge in a court, neutral towards both the criminal and the victim, administrating justice based on laws and constitution. Similarly, Krishna punishes or rewards individuals based on their action. Karmis and Jnanis have the option to seek Krishna's personal association, but they do not aspire for it, so they miss it. Krishna does not force his association or compel anyone to know or love him. He grants free will to every soul, allowing them to exercise it independently. However, individuals must take responsibility for their action. Actions can lead to bondage and suffering, or to freedom and ultimate liberation in Krishna consciousness. Do you have any more questions?
No more question. Thank you for your guidance today. Bhagavad Gita is so puzzling, but like Srila Prabhupada says, when we hear this knowledge from the mouth of the devotee, all the puzzles are unlocked and its meaning are revealed. I will read chapter 5 now and I will set up another appointment with you so that we can discuss.
Sure, thank you for providing an opportunity to spread the message of Bhagavad Gita and see how it is transforming people's lives with ultimate happiness and fulfillment. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I think this is a nice summation of what we will study later on in the 12th chapter, the Yoga Ladder. Krishna gives us a brief glimpse here. Prabhupada expands on it in the purport, and I think you all have nicely extracted it in a conversation form. One point that can also be added here is the reciprocation of Krishna towards those who are averse to him. So the ye yathamam prapadyante, that mood where Krishna says that for those who are envious to me, I appear as he reciprocates that mood. So sometimes people say that why does Krishna favor the devas and go and try and kill the asuras? But factually speaking, he's neutral. He's reciprocating to both their moods and kind. So that would be another aspect of the Krishna's reciprocation. Thank you very much. Very well done.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Group 3, please.
Hare Krishna, can you see my screen?
Yes, Mataji.
So we're doing Krishna versus the Jiva, who is the doer, and we're decided to perform this in a skit, in a role play type thing. So the plot is an athlete just won an Olympic gold medal in the 100-meter freestyle.
Look what I just won, an Olympic gold medal. After all of my hard work, it finally paid off. I trained for over 10,000 hours in order to pull this off. For the past 7 years, I woke up at 5 a.m. in the morning and swam at least 50 laps. My hair and skin got ruined from the chlorine training every day.
Oh, wow, you trained a lot. Did you have any inspiration or help in your success?
I think a little. My coach instructed me, so I knew what to do, and my family was constantly supporting me. But let's be honest, did they train all these hours or did I?
But didn't your family give you the encouragement to keep going? And like you said, you would not know how to train without your coach's instructions and guidance.
Okay, I guess sure, they helped me behind the scenes. They were, I guess, pretty crucial in getting where I am today. But I was mainly the one who put in the effort.
Are you sure there wasn't anything else that helped you?
What do you mean? Of course not.
Well, where did your strength come from? Who gave you the time to practice? Who gave you your family and coaches to support you? Who gave you the intelligence to build this discipline to practice every day?
Oh, well, I did worship Durga, hoping that I would do well.
Yes, Durga helped you, but Durga is acting as Krishna or God's servant. Just take the examples of the Govardhan Leela and the Brahma Vimohan Leela. Indra thought he deserved the worship of the Rajavasis by providing them rain to grow their grains. But Krishna easily protected his devotees by lifting Govardhan Hill with his left pinky finger against Indra's torrents of rain, proving that greater than Indra was Krishna, who was the source of Indra's powers. And now let's take Brahma. He wanted to see the limit of Krishna's power, so he stole the cowherd boys and calves. Yet Krishna was able to expand himself as the same cowherd boys and calves and demonstrate his infinite potency, much greater than Brahma's. As explained in Bhagavad Gita 4.12, the demigods are parts and parcels of Krishna who are delegated with powers to manage this material world. And thus, Durga helped you under Krishna's will.
Okay, so am I not responsible at all?
As Prabhupada explains in the purport of Bhagavad Gita 4.14, the living entity is responsible for his own acts, just like how you trained for so long. But Krishna gives the living entities the facilities to do so through the agency of material nature. He's the one who gave you the strength and intelligence to work this hard. Krishna is the creator of everything, and everything is sustained by him, and everything is also annihilated from him. Therefore, Krishna is the ultimate doer.
Oh, I understand now. Thank you. I really have to show my gratitude to Krishna for giving me so much success. Thank you, my friend, for reminding me of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, very nice. I think we should remember this because Krishna will build on this later on. He will talk about different doers. In the 5th chapter, he will talk more about it. 17th chapter, he'll talk more. 18th chapter, he talks more about it. So it's important for us to remember this message that we got here, and then we'll expand on it. Thank you for presenting it nicely.
Okay, next group, please.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we are presenting on the topic applying the knowledge, karma and gyan, a step in right direction. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna the difference between karma, vikarma and akarma. Karma, working with attachments according to Shastras, which results in good reactions. Vikarma is forbidden actions, results into bad reactions and sufferings. Akarma, actions in Krishna consciousness without desire for sense gratification and acts as an eternal servitor, enjoys transcendental happiness. Why one need to understand the intricacies of karma? Because if one is serious about liberation, then one needs to understand the distinction of karma. As it is a difficult subject matter, speculation will not help to understand this topic. Hence, we need to learn through bona fide parampara. One who is intelligent and in the transcendental position sees inaction in action, akarma, and action in inaction, renunciation of work. Akarma means all actions done for Krishna, but no reaction to work or acting in constitutional position. For example, Arjuna does not want to fight in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Then Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, perform your prescribed duties for my satisfaction, and in that way always remain free from bondage. As Arjuna did for Lord's satisfaction, he did not incur any sin even though he killed thousands of soldiers in the war. On the other hand, a renunciation of work means an impersonalist without transcendental knowledge of Krishna appear not to be working is liable to all reactions. One in full knowledge, like Srila Prabhupada, performs actions or endeavors only in Krishna consciousness, never desires sense enjoyment because He knows Krishna as his Lord and Master and himself as Krishna's servant. He is thus freed from all material desires, and the reaction of his work have been burnt up by the fire of this knowledge, and this is the knowledge of eternal servitorship of the Lord.
People on the platform of akarma are unattached to the results of work and performs work with the following consciousness. He knows that he is the part and parcel of the Supreme. He knows Krishna as his Lord and Master and himself as Krishna's servant. His mind and intelligence are fully controlled and he does not envy others. He just acts for the bare necessities of his body and he has no desire for personal sense gratification and does not accept good or bad results in his activities, and he is free from dualities, steady in both success and failure, and finally he is satisfied with gains which are obtained of their own accord. Understanding karma on the platform of transcendental knowledge helps us make progress towards bhakti. A conditioned soul entangled in material contamination is sure to act in the material atmosphere, and yet he has to get out of such an environment. The process by which the conditioned soul can get out of the material atmosphere is Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the process of converting the illusory consciousness into Brahman or the Supreme. Becoming fully Krishna conscious, one is freed from all dualities and thus is free from the contaminations of the material modes. Transcendental knowledge can burn up all our reactions and qualify us to go to the eternal spiritual world from where there is no more coming back. And also, transcendental knowledge revives our lost memory of being a servant of Krishna. Therefore, it can immediately award us liberation from the ocean of birth and death. In Bhagavad Gita 4.24, Lord Krishna says, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagnau Brahmana Hutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. Translation: a person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. When the mind is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, it is said to be in samadhi or trance. Anything done in such transcendental consciousness is called yajna or sacrifice for the absolute. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Very good. Hare Krishna. I really liked your PowerPoints.
Yeah. Quick suggestion, Prabhuji. We are almost at the hour, so 2 more presentations. Shall we continue today or next class, Prabhuji?
We can do one today. Well, I think you're right. We're on the hour, so I think we'll do both of them next week. Okay, so we'll end over here. Thank you very much, and I'm liking more and more the nature of the presentations that are coming up. They're crisp to the point, but also get the message through. So thank you for that.
Right. And Prabhuji, just for the next week's agenda. So we will do the remaining 2 presentations, devotees, and then we will start chapter 5. So the one recorded class, verses 1 to 12 are on the website. So that's the homework. We can do a Q&A on that class. And then Prabhuji will give the chapter overview for chapter 5 and no group presentations for next week. So just wanted to update on the agenda for next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Jai. Gaur Premanande. Hare
Hare Krishna.